Hey guys, it is May the 19th, 2025, and I hope everybody's been having a wonderful day so far today. I hope everybody had a great weekend this past weekend. I just wanted to say thank you so much to everybody that joined in on the live yesterday. If you couldn't make it, I completely understand, but for those of you that showed up, I really appreciate it. We had a nice time yesterday. In the live yesterday, I had a couple of questions, well, a couple of requests for videos, and one of them was to talk about anxiety, which I'm going to be discussing today in this video. But another one of the requests that I got is something that I had mentioned in a video, I think it was last week. I can't even remember now, but I had taken a day off because I wasn't feeling well. And the day before in that video, I had said that I would show how to do a poached egg the easy way. And I completely forgot. When I went back to do the video after the day I had taken off, I just completely forgot about it. And I just finished doing that video, so I'm gonna do this video and post it up, and then there'll be a separate video with a poached egg. I had talked about doing hollandaise sauce in the live that I was in yesterday, but I didn't want to make it too much and have it go on too long. If anybody still wants to see that video, just let me know in the comments for either today's video or the video that I did with the poached egg. And I'll do that next week. Like I said, I just didn't want to do like a 15-minute long video trying to instruct on how to do all that stuff. I figured let's start off with the poached egg first, and then if anybody wants to see how to do the quick, easy hollandaise sauce, I'll do that next week. But like I said, today I'm going to be talking about anxiety. And, this is something that I used to deal with on a daily basis when I was a drinker. And, since I've stopped drinking, I don't really deal with anxiety like I used to anymore. Now, I still have anxiety, don't get me wrong, especially when I have to have a procedure. I do get very anxious when I have to have, a procedure, and I usually don't get really, really anxious until like the day before. And, I'll have a hard time sleeping the night before I have to go in for my procedure, but I always will drink chamomile tea that night, and it really does help for me to go to sleep when I drink the chamomile tea. But I've got a bunch of really good points here that I'm going to be talking about in today's video on ways to alleviate anxiety, and I'm going to go ahead and get into that. I think one of the most important things in order to relieve anxiety, and I know this is going to sound crazy, but I truly do believe that stopping drinking or using a substance or whatever it may be, it will greatly reduce anxiety. We either drink or we use or we gamble or we shop or we do whatever we do in order to relieve anxiety. And I know for myself, I drank all the time to relieve my anxiety. And the thing that's crazy about it is I would drink in order to get rid of my anxiety, and all it did was make my anxiety 10 times worse. Excuse me. It never, well, I guess it did in the beginning help relieve my anxiety, but as time went on, the more and more that I drank, especially the next day when I would be hungover, when I would wake up in the morning after a really heavy night of binge drinking, I would have instant anxiety that morning. I would wake up first thing and start getting really anxious because, number one, I wouldn't remember what I'd done the night before. I've spoken about this so many times, but I got blackout drunk every single night. And waking up, in the morning and not remembering what happened, especially if my wife went to leave to go to work and she wasn't speaking to me that morning, my anxiety ramped right up because I'm like, what did I do the night before? What did I say? She's upset with me. I must have done something. And I have no recollection what I did. Talk about having anxiety. I'm sitting here thinking, what happened last night? And I'm trying to piece all this together, and I have absolutely no idea what happened. And that used to give me anxiety like crazy. And then as I started getting ready for work, I used to think about the fact that I had to drive. And I've spoken about this many times on here as well too, but I used to get the worst anxiety when I had to drive. I don't know what that was all about. I don't know why that happened to me. I don't know why I got so anxious when I had to get behind the wheel of a car. It's not like before I started drinking, like I had bad anxiety. It wasn't until my drinking got really bad that that my anxiety levels would get so bad that I would often have to call somebody to come pick me up, or I would catch a ride with somebody. I'd let them know the day before. If I knew I was going to be drinking really heavy that night, I would ask one of my guys, like, hey, do you mind swinging by and picking me up in the morning? I'm going to need a ride. And, the excuse would be whatever it was back then. I just needed somebody to come get me because I knew that I was going to be getting super drunk that night. And the next day, I was going to be scared to drive. Once again, I don't know why that was. I don't know why I was so afraid to get behind the wheel of a car, but I was. And, I would drive on the country roads, do everything that I possibly could to avoid main roads. And more than anything else, I was so fearful of getting to a stoplight. If I had to get into the left turning lane, that was like, that could not happen. I would do make right turns and all this crazy stuff and cut down back streets in order to, I would go around my, to get to my elbow all the time just so I could avoid left turning signals, 4-lane highways, any of that kind of stuff. I would, my drive to work would be like 10 minutes if I took, the regular roads there. But on a regular day, it would take me 20-25 minutes to get to work because I had to take all back roads in order to get to work because I had such bad anxiety. And what's crazy about it is that once I stopped drinking, guess what? The anxiety went away. I have no fear of being behind the wheel of a car anymore at all. None whatsoever. I can drive down a 4-lane highway, a 3-lane highway. I can, get in a left turning lane at a stoplight, no problem. I have no fear whatsoever of that anymore. And it was the booze that was causing me to have those high anxiety levels. And like I said, especially after a really heavy night of drinking. So I definitely think that just by removing the alcohol or the substance, that can drastically help lessen our anxiety levels in a major way. And I just firmly believe that by stopping drinking, it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take some time. But, give it a week, 2 weeks after you've stopped drinking or after you've stopped using or whatever it may be. I think that you're going to see a drastic reduction in your anxiety levels, majorly. But I did want to go ahead and just talk about some certain things that you can do in order to help relieve your anxiety without drinking or using a substance in order to relieve that anxiety. There are some things that we can do. The first thing about anxiety is that most of the time it all begins with a worry. We start thinking about something that that we're going to start worrying about. Let's say, for instance, my driving. I would start thinking about it before I left to go to work. As I was getting ready that morning, I was already in my mind thinking about the fact that I had to drive that day. And it would all start playing out in my mind. Like I said, it all began with a single thought, a single worry, and then it would just fester in my brain, and I would keep thinking about it over and over and over again all morning long. I got to get behind the wheel of a car. Which way am I going to take today? Is there going to be traffic on that road? And then sometimes they might have closed the road down. So then in my mind, I'm thinking about, okay, well, I'm going to have to go this way. I would even pull up Google Maps and start looking at the maps to try to figure out which back roads that I could take in order to get around having to go through stoplights and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it was absolutely crazy. I would be laying in my bed, 7 o'clock in the morning looking at Google Maps going, okay, this road is closed. So which way am I going to go today? All right, so I've got to go down this road and that road. And it was just insane. That I was so afraid to drive. But like I said, it all begins with a worry, and we let that worry fester in our brain, and the next thing you know, here comes the anxiety. And once that anxiety sets in, that it's there. And the thing is that what can we do once that anxiety starts to set in? the first thing I have here is, and I know that some of this stuff's going to sound really cliche and things like that, but the thing is that it's worth giving every one of these things a shot and see if any of these things might work for you. If they don't work for you, maybe you need to speak with a doctor and, see where to go from there. But I would definitely try doing some of these things, some of these tips and tricks, and see if they don't help you out before you take that next step and speak with a doctor. And like I said, I know some of these are going to sound kind of cliche, but for a lot of people, they do actually help them. One of them is trying out yoga. A lot of people swear by yoga. They say that it helps them out tremendously with their stress. Meditation, Tai Chi, these types of things. Now, some of this stuff is a little bit difficult to do if you're behind the wheel of a car in the middle of a 4-lane highway or something like that. But, if you're in an environment where you could do some of these things, they could really help you to lessen your anxiety. So, like I said, yoga, meditation, or Tai Chi, maybe try giving one of those a shot. Maybe, join up at your local yoga gym or take a yoga class, or maybe take a class on meditation. I'm sure that they offer it somewhere around you. Maybe just get on YouTube and watch a video on meditation. I'm not going to sit here and claim that I'm some master meditator, because I'm not. I've tried to meditate over and over and over again. I just can't do it. I cannot get my mind to stop thinking about something. Every time that I've tried to sit down and meditate, you're supposed to try to get all your thoughts out of your mind. I'll start thinking about something. It happens every single time. But, meditation is not for everybody. But like I said, it is worth a shot giving it a try. Another thing that's really important is sleep. Sleep is huge. And when we are, especially when we're drinking or using, our sleep patterns get all messed up. We think that by using alcohol or using a substance that it's going to help us get to sleep. But the thing is that, yeah, we might fall asleep fast. But have you ever noticed when you've gotten drunk or whatever and you fall asleep that, you wake up an hour or two later and you don't feel like you got much rest? It's not the kind of sleep that you want to get. When you're getting real, proper sleep, especially after you've gotten sober, that can help so much with our anxiety levels. Just the feeling of calm that you have after getting a proper night's sleep, 7-8 hours of sleep. I understand if some of you can't get that. These are just suggestions. I'm not saying that these are things that you have to necessarily do. But once again, sleep is a big one. Another one is diet. Eating a proper diet, not eating a bunch of junk food. Have you ever noticed that when you go out and get fast food or something, you eat it, yeah, it might taste good in the moment, but then 30 minutes later, you just feel disgusting. You feel gross. You just have this your whole body feels nasty. It's just not good food, and it's not good for you. Eating a proper diet, getting your proper amount of lean protein, fresh organic fruits and vegetables, drinking the proper amount of water. These things can help us so much with our anxiety. When we're getting our body as healthy as we possibly can, it can really help to lessen that anxiety in a really big way. And the thing is that I said I don't have a lot of anxiety anymore. Could that be because I eat a lot better now? I don't drink anymore. I do get the proper sleep every single night. I would imagine so. And once again, it didn't happen overnight. When I first got sober, I had anxiety for at least a month after I quit. I got anxious in every situation that I went in. If I had to go to the grocery store, I get anxiety. If I had to go to the jump around park with my wife and my kids, I got anxiety. Anywhere I had to go out in public, I got anxiety. If I had to go shopping at Walmart, I got anxiety. If I had to go to one of my kids' soccer games, I got anxiety. I think a lot of that had to do with just getting around people in general. Because after I'd gotten sick, I was home for quite some time, and my business, I worked by myself most of the time. I didn't have a lot of people around me, so I didn't really get into a lot of situations where I was, in these big public places with a lot of people. It would just be basically myself and maybe another person, the person my customer that I was doing work for. But when I had to go out in public, let's say like going to the grocery store, I would get the worst anxiety for a little while. But like I said, after about a month of being sober and starting to improve my diet, and I kind of had to do those things because I had just gotten sick, and I was trying to turn it all around. So I started eating a lot better. I wasn't in the restaurant industry, so I was sleeping better at that point. I started feeling better. And, after, going and seeing all these doctors, and they started talking to me about my diet and everything and how important that was for my health and trying to get rid of the ascites, I was eating much better, and the anxiety levels really started to come down. There's more things that made me anxious. I'm just not going to go into all those details and name every single scenario that gave me anxiety. But once again, once I got sober and started eating and sleeping better, my anxiety levels almost pretty much left. I really don't have much anxiety anymore. And like I said, it really has to do with when I have a procedure the next day. And if you're going to have surgery the next day and if you don't get nervous, man, more power to you. Another thing, too, is limiting the amount of caffeine that we drink. And I mean, that's kind of a no-brainer. I myself drink a lot of caffeine every day. It doesn't really affect me that much. I guess I've built quite a tolerance to it because I do drink a lot of coffee. I don't get caffeine from any other sources, really, but coffee is the main one, and I spread my coffee out throughout the day. It's not like I'm just chugging coffee all day long. I have maybe 4 or 5 cups of coffee throughout the day, and I spread them out. I'll have 1 cup first thing in the morning. I'll hang out for a little bit, have another. I mean, I drink coffee, all the way up to 5, 6 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm having coffee, and I can go right to sleep. I could drink a cup of coffee and go right to bed. So like I said, my tolerance levels with caffeine are kind of up there. But limiting your caffeine can help reduce your anxiety as well, because caffeine is, it's a stimulant. And it gets our brains going and, things moving in there. And, like I said, if we start to get that thought, one of those worrisome thoughts in our brain, and we've drank a bunch of caffeine, our brains can start moving at a super fast pace. And next thing you know, we're thinking about all these different scenarios, whatever that worry may be. It could be just like I said, going out in public. You know that you have to go to the grocery store that day. You wake up first thing in the morning and you're thinking about, I've got to go to the grocery store at 3 o'clock today. I've got to go to the grocery store at 3 o'clock. I'm going to be around a bunch of people. They might, start laughing at me, or people might think I look strange, or whatever it is. We start thinking about it. We plant that seed in our head and we start watering it the more and more that we think about it, and it starts to grow. So once again, limiting caffeine can be another really big one. Another thing too is therapy. If you're having really bad anxiety, seeking therapy might be something that you want to do as well. Talking these things out, and a therapist can really help walk you through and discover what it is that's giving you anxiety and why that certain thing is giving you anxiety as well. And they might be able to help you through steps in order to help alleviate that anxiety. But therapy is another great option as well, if you've tried all these different things and they don't work for you. There's another thing called block breathing. And basically what block breathing is, it's basically just a breathing technique. It's a very, very simple breathing technique that you can try. What you do is you basically look for anything square around you, anything. It could be your phone. And then you just use each square as you breathe. So you're going to 4 counts in. So as you're breathing in, count 4 counts. And then hold 4 counts and then breathe out 4 counts, and then hold 4 counts. So it's each section of the square is 4 counts. And it just makes it really simple for you to remember how to do that just by looking at something square. So, you got to breathe in for 4 counts. That's the first part of the square. Breathe and hold for 4 counts. Breathe out for 4 counts, and then hold for 4 counts, and then do that all over again. Slowly breathe in, 4 counts, hold 4 counts, breathe out 4 counts, hold 4 counts, breathe in 4 counts. And as you do that, you're slowing your breathing down. You're focusing all of your attention on your breathing. So whatever it is that's worrying you, whatever it is that's giving you anxiety, you are pulling yourself out of that situation and focusing all of your attention on your breathing. And it's going to take your full attention to focus on that, because not only are you thinking about the fact that you got to, breathe in for 4 counts and then hold for 4 counts, breathe out 4 counts, all that stuff. As you're going through this whole process, you are thinking about all of it while it's happening as well. And it can just really help remove you away from whatever situation it is that's giving you anxiety. And it's a really great method. People swear by the breathing methods as a way to help alleviate anxiety. Because like I said, it takes your mind out of the situation. There's another thing too, noticing your surroundings, and looking around you, and trying to focus on certain things around you as a way to pull yourself out of whatever it is that's worrying you as well. A lot of people swear by that too. Just being mindful, and being mindful of your environment, and just stopping and just really soaking in your surroundings. Another one right here too as well is going for a walk, and this is one of the ones I swear by. I think this is one of the best things that you can do for your anxiety. Besides stopping drinking and getting proper sleep and a proper diet, but doing any kind of an activity. I just spoke about this just the other day, and I think it was Saturday's video. But doing any kind of physical activity, or any kind of activity in general, whatever it may be. If you can't get up and walk, then just do something. Maybe, get your paintbrushes out and paint something, or draw something, or crochet, or sew something, or whatever. But if you can get up and go for a walk, go do that. Or do some jumping jacks, or maybe go shoot some hoops if you have a basketball goal in your yard, or maybe go kick a soccer ball around. Anything that you can do that's physical activity, because you are getting those good chemicals to work for you. You're getting your serotonin, your dopamine, you're getting those endorphins going. When we do physical activity, we get all those feel-good chemicals in our brain, the ones that we're really searching for anyway when we're looking for that fix. When we go to reach for a drink, we're not reaching for the drink necessarily for that to get that feeling from the alcohol. What we're really going for is we're getting that dopaminergic effect. We're looking for the dopamine. That dopamine is the reward chemical. And every time that we get the drink, then we get a kick of dopamine, and it's that feel-good reward system that we're getting. You can get the same thing by doing physical activity. If you've ever heard of like a runner's high, that's because they're getting those endorphins. I used to be a jogger when I was younger. My dad used to wake me up at 4 o'clock in the morning every single day, because my dad ran every single day and made me go with him. I'm glad he did, because we would run every morning in the dark. It was a beautiful time to go run. I got to talk to my dad every morning when we jogged, and when we would get done, I would feel so good. Now, this is when I was really young. I was, maybe, probably from the ages of like 10 to like 13, 14 years old. It was like right when I stopped is right when I started like really starting to pick up on using and drinking and stuff like that. But I ran with him for quite a while, and I'm telling you guys, I had the best feeling when I would run. after I would get done, we would go back to the house. I would always, chill out for a little bit, make myself some breakfast, and I would just chill out and watch TV until it was time to go to school. And the way I used to feel after I would run, it was like I was, I don't want to say it, but like I was elevated to a certain extent, and I felt great. I felt so good. But now, these days, I can't run anymore. But what I can do is I can go for a walk. I can do things around the property. I can go out and water my plants, or go work in my garden, or go prune something, or whatever it may be. I can start working on another project. There's always projects I have around the farm. So I can go work on one of the farm projects, or fix something for my wife that she's been asking me to do, or go paint or something. Just yesterday, I was outside helping her work around her animal stuff yesterday afternoon. I was out there in the sunshine, working outside. I wore myself completely out yesterday. I felt good after I did that. I was euphoric. I was happy. I think exercise is a great way to reduce anxiety, and I do it every single day almost, unless I'm like feeling really, really bad, but I can at least get up and go for a 10-15 minute walk. And after I'm done walking, I feel great. I feel good. And then I feel like, you know what? If I want to just go chill out for a little bit and just watch a little bit of TV, or maybe just sit down and read a book or whatever it is, I don't feel bad doing it, because I just went outside and exercised, got some sunshine. I think sunlight is another great way to reduce our anxiety. Just getting out in the sunshine, it just makes you feel good. It really does. If you're penned up in the house all day long, you're not getting outside at all and getting in the sunshine, we're made to be outside. We're made to be out in the sun. We need the sunlight in order to process vitamin D. And vitamin D is such an essential nutrient that we need in our bodies. If we don't have it, all kinds of things can go wrong. So once again, just getting outside, breathing fresh air, doing some kind of exercise, whatever it is, whatever you can do, not only is it going to make you feel better, but once again, it's going to remove you away from whatever it is, whatever that worrying thought that you planted in your brain, that seed that you planted. You're not watering it anymore. You've removed yourself away from that, and you're not thinking about it anymore. You're thinking about whatever it is that you're doing in the moment. If that's walking, you're thinking about the fact that you're walking. If it's watering your plants, you're thinking about the fact that you're watering your plants. If it's painting something, you're thinking about what you're painting, or whatever it is, but you're not focusing your attention on that worrying thought again. And it's just one of the best ways, I think. I truly believe that exercise is one of the best ways to reduce our anxiety. I talked about this earlier, but noticing your surroundings and looking around you and becoming present and grounded in the moment, realizing where you are, thinking about the things that you can change and not worrying about the things that you cannot. And I know this is one of those cliche statements that I was talking about in the beginning of the video, but it can be so true. And often the things that we start to worry about, that seed that we plant in our brain, it's often something that we can't change anyway. So focus on things that you can change. Can you eat better today? Well, yeah, you could. Could you maybe get up and do a little bit of exercise? Yeah, maybe you could. Just start thinking about things that you can change. What can I do today? Can I stay sober today? Well, yeah, you can do that. Whatever it is, making better choices with our food, making better choices and getting up and trying to exercise and get out in the sunlight, making choices to maybe, go do that hobby that we've been saying that we're going to do. Maybe you went and bought some canvas and some oil paints and it's been sitting on top of your dresser for the past 3 months. Maybe now's the time to stop worrying about that thing that you can't change at all and go get those canvases out and that oil paint and start doing something about it. And I think that you'll find that the anxiety levels are really going to come down. And like I said, I know that sounds so cliche, but it can be so true. Another thing here as well that I've got written down is what is making you anxious, and keep track of it. Goes back to what I talk about all the time, and that's journaling. Just writing down what's going on in our life every day. You don't have to sit down and write 5 pages of what's going on with you, but every day in your notebook, write today's date and just maybe write down, I got anxious today. This is what happened. I got anxious today because I started thinking about the fact that I had to drive. Okay, well, you realize what it was that made you anxious. Now, what can we do about it? And maybe start thinking about things that we can do to change it and stop worrying about the things that we can't change. The fact that when you drive, maybe, making sure you have your seatbelt on, both hands on the steering wheel, not having the music up really loud to distract you, making sure your cell phone is on the passenger seat or some way far away from you so that you're not going to be picking it up and not paying attention to what's going on. Keeping both eyes keeping both eyes on the road and looking straight forward, and not worrying about the fact that you might have to come up to a stoplight and make a left-hand turn, like what used to make me so anxious. Stop worrying about that. It's something that's out of your control. If you're in a car, you're going to have to at some point make a left turn at a stoplight. So stop worrying about the things that you can't change. But what can you change? Like I said, all the things that I just mentioned, like wearing a seatbelt, both eyes on the road, keeping both hands on the steering wheel, music not up real loud, all kinds of things like that can really help out too. Finding someone to talk to about it. I think this is a big one too. Maybe let a good friend or a family member know that you're having some anxiety problems and ask them, if I start to get anxious, can I give you a phone call? And find somebody that's going to be willing to speak to you in those moments of need, and they could really help talk you off the cliff, and help bring you back into reality. They might ask you the questions, what are you really worried about? What's got you so afraid today? And it can just really help ground you back to reality, and maybe you won't be so anxious anymore. Sometimes it takes somebody else to make us realize that we're worrying about something that is completely out of control, and it's nothing to worry about. And I think that just having somebody maybe on speed dial or whatever, like I said, letting somebody know in advance, if I get anxious, can I give you a call? That could help out tremendously as well. Focusing on the present moment, and this has to do a lot with sobriety as well. Not worrying about the past, not worrying about the future, and focusing on right now. This, like I said, this has a lot to do with sobriety at the same time. The past is already there. It's in the past. There's nothing you can do to go back and change anything that happened in the past whatsoever. The future is not here yet. There's nothing that you can do. There are things that you can do to change your future, but by focusing on the present moment is what you can do to make sure that future events are going to be somewhat in your control. There are certain things that you're not going to be able to control, and that's okay. There's nothing you can do about it. But you can focus on right this second, right now. What am I doing right now? What can I do to change my scenario to tomorrow? Eating better today could change tomorrow for me. Sleeping better tonight could change my situation tomorrow. Not drinking today could change my situation tomorrow. Being mindful of the present moment, right now, the moment that you are in. Stop worrying about the past. Stop worrying about the future. Focus on now. That can really, really help. And like I said, it helps with remaining sober as well. And then last but not least is guided imaging. And I got jumped on Google really quick just to get a couple of ideas about this, and it brought this up, and what they were talking about was like thinking about a peaceful place, and it really made me think about something that I do myself, because I actually do this quite often. I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys something that I don't really like to talk about, but I'm just going to go ahead and say it now because I think it might help somebody. But I have problems sometimes. I get stage fright urinating sometimes. If there's somebody standing right beside me in another stall, I can get stage fright. I'll stand there for the longest time and I just cannot go. A lot of times when I have surgery, after I wake up, I have to urinate so bad because a lot of times, I've had an IV with a bag connected to me and they're just pumping fluid in me. So when I wake up, I have got to go so bad. And often what they'll do is they'll hand me one of those little urinals and they'll say, you can go in this because we don't want you to get up because we're afraid you might fall down. And I tell them, I cannot use the restroom in one of those things. I have to go to the bathroom. They're like, you cannot do it. So what I have to do in order to be able to go to the restroom is I have to project myself into a different situation. And the place that I always put myself is I'm standing beside a river. And the river's flowing and there's rapids and I can hear it in my brain, all the water flowing over all the rocks. And I just imagine myself standing beside a river, just like I said, and there's a big rapid right there. And it's so loud that I can't hear anything else. And I can focus all of my attention onto that river and those rapids. And I think to myself, I am in this place right now. I'm all alone out in the middle of the woods. There's rapids in front of me. It's so loud that I can't hear anything else. And in that moment, I will be able to use the restroom. I do this all the time. I'm not kidding you guys. If I walk into a McDonald's bathroom and somebody's in the stall, in the other stall with the regular toilet, for some reason I'll get anxious and I cannot go. So I have to project myself into that other situation, that I'm standing beside a river. And every single time that I do that, I'm able to finally go to the restroom. I do this all the time. It can be done. But projecting yourself into a peaceful place, whatever that is for you. Maybe your peaceful place is your grandmother's house from when you were a kid and sitting on her front porch and maybe picking beans or something. Maybe your peaceful place is being at your local park, or your peaceful place is walking on the beach. Project yourself into that place. Think about it really hard and start to focus on certain things. Focus on the feeling of the sand between your toes as you're walking through the beach. Focus your attention on the waves coming up and the water touching your feet. Focus and think about the wind blowing on your face and blowing through your hair and the way that the sand feels as it blows on you as you're walking through the beach and, it's really windy. Maybe focus your attention and think about the seagulls flying around and the clouds in the sky and the way that the surf sounds as it crashes up on the beach and all these things. Project yourself into those moments, and it can really help just pull you right out of whatever situation it was that was giving you anxiety. Once again, we're not watering that seed, that worrisome thought that we planted in our brain, because that often is what our anxiety stems from, is just one worrisome thought. And we keep feeding it, we keep watering it, and it keeps growing and growing and growing in our mind till that's where all we can think about is just that. So once again, guys, I think these are a lot of really good tips here and tricks on how to relieve our anxiety. I do firmly believe that by stopping drinking and or using or whatever it may be for you that you do in order to relieve your anxiety, by stopping those things, I think it can drastically reduce anxiety just by doing that alone. And then after doing that, if you're still experiencing anxiety, maybe try doing some of these different things and see if they work for you. It's worth a shot. Like I said, I know some of this stuff can sound kind of cliche. I get it. I totally do. Try it. If it doesn't work, okay, well, you tried and you know it doesn't work, then okay, try something else. Try the next step. If that doesn't work, then try something else. And if you've tried all these things and it doesn't work, maybe hop online, look up some other ideas of things that could work for you. And if none of those things work, maybe now it's time for therapy. Maybe it's time to talk to somebody about this. You might need help working through your anxiety, and they might have to do something else to help you out through it. But once again, I think these are great ideas on how to reduce your anxiety. If you are having crippling anxiety, you cannot leave your home, and it's really affecting your life, I would definitely go speak with a doctor and, see where they want to go from there with you, because there could be some serious issues going on with you. And I think that it's best if I'm sorry that you're getting this beeping noise. That's my insulin pump. It's like almost out of insulin right now. I've got to change it out. But once again, if it's crippling and you've tried all these different things and none of it works for you, I definitely think it's time for you to go speak with somebody, speak with a professional, and see what they can do to help you out through this. But I truly do believe that by stopping drinking, I think you're going to see a huge reduction in your anxiety, because anxiety is so real. It is absolutely real. I suffered from it every single day, and like I said, I stopped drinking. I didn't have anxiety anymore. All of a sudden, wow, anxiety has gone away, and that's what it took for me, was by stopping drinking. I thought that drinking was helping my anxiety. In reality, all it was doing was creating more anxiety for me. And it took me actually stopping drinking until I finally realized that. But once again, it didn't happen overnight. It's not like I quit drinking and the next day I woke up and I was like, I'm anxiety free. It took time. And, I would definitely try doing these certain steps, give it a little bit of time, and see if that doesn't help you out or not. And once again, if you've done this, you've given it some time, you've tried all these things, you've looked at stuff on Google, none of that stuff works for you, I think it might be time to speak with a professional and see what they might be able to do for you from there. But once again, guys, I hope that you guys enjoyed today's video. I really do appreciate you watching. For those of you that asked for the anxiety video in yesterday's live, thank you so much for the video idea. I hope this video helped you in some way. I know that some of the stuff is a little bit cliche, but I do think it is worth a shot. Once again, the exercise, huge. Sleep is huge. Diet is huge. And stopping drinking is another huge one. And I think just those right there, I think that you'll see a drastic reduction in your anxiety. If you just do those things I just listed off just a second ago, I think you'll see a huge reduction in your anxiety. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching today. I really do appreciate it. And until tomorrow, I will see y'all then. I love you guys so much. Bye-bye.